Good Sunday morning, my Teaserking family. How is everybody doing? I actually got to sleep yesterday. No noise. And I started eating yesterday, so it was a good day. Ended up with a 70-hour fast. Which was good. Kind of gone today, maybe. It would have been tough. Because virtually I was drinking a coffee and 3 waters an hour. A lot of water. I went to work out. I was fine. I think it's a lot of patience. When I play poker, people realize I'm really patient because I wait for my hands. I don't play to play. I play to win. And so if I get king, queen, I'm in. If I get king, deuce, I'm not. Because if I pair the deuce, I'm fucked. And if I pair the king, I'm fucked because somebody's got to have better than king, deuce. So with those parameters, I use the same logic for fasting. I'm being patient. I can eat soon. I'll eat tomorrow. So I started Wednesday night. I ate. Thursday I didn't, but I knew I wanted to go. My plan was initially to go to Friday night. And as Friday afternoon was coming, I said, I really want to get clean and get healthy. Not that I'm not healthy, but to get healthy. So I really, I'm already at this point. Like today, I can't go 72 hours. You got to go 2 days to get to the third day. So I kind of, I thought about it and I was being patient. I was like, I can eat later. Be patient. I can eat later. So it was, as we hit dinner time yesterday, Friday, it became, okay, do we want to eat now? Well, you know what? If we can get to sleep and wake up, it's already 60 hours. So I said, no, I can be patient. I'll wait to eat. Even yesterday, I could have eaten at lunch. And I said, no, I'm already here. Let me wait a few more hours. So I finally ate at about 4:00, which was 70 hours. And I actually put an apple and some pita bread in the car. And at about 4:00, I drove to Chinese. And I had Chinese for dinner, and I'll have it for lunch. And basically, with the Chinese, then I waited till then, and then I ate it. Actually, when I got home, but I had the apple to kind of, because I was getting a little bit hungry, and I knew I was going to eat, so I grabbed the apple and the pita, but I didn't eat it before swim. I brought it to swim, and then go from swim to Chinese because it's on the way, and it's about 20 minutes away, so it helps. Instead of going from here, if I go from swim, it's a little bit closer. So I do that. And I brought the apple and the pita and I ate it. I waited till 4 and then I ate it. And then I got the Chinese and ate some of that. And that was good. I didn't eat after, I had it about 5:00. Well, by the time I got home. So it was about 5:00. And then I ate and I made sure that was it. And I'm going to stick to, okay, it was about 6:00 when I was done eating. And that was it. And I just started eating now. It's 10:45. And I wanted to do class earlier. So I just started eating now, which is, so it was about 6 to 10. So, I'm going to keep rigid on this. I'm not going to eat snacks and I'm not going to, I just want to, lose like 5 pounds, but I really just want to, and I won't have, like I've been nibbling on a little thing of ice cream or, getting crap from the gas station or stuff like that. So I'm just clean slate for a good month and go from there. Anyway, let's look at baseball from yesterday. I had a great day. I started off losing the Yankees over 9. They 3-2. It's hard to understand. Zach Little with the 4.61, 2-5, and then the Yanks scored 2 runs on them. Oh, and I updated my list. So my list is clean, and there is some changes, but the Yankees have 4 good hitters and 4 bad hitters, let's call it. And they lose 3-2. So I wasn't sure they'd win with Mark Leiter, but I thought it'd be high scoring. See, that's where the averages fool you, a 4.61 and a 3.95, and yet that goes to the next level is the matchup. Zach Littell obviously plays the Yankees. Now, it's too busy baseball, but what I would do is say Zach Littell handles the Yankees, and then next time they play, if there is a next time that they play and he pitches, they're both in the East, so he probably will. Then I would say, well, he knows how to handle them. But again, there's injuries. Is he going to face the same lineup? There's too many variables in baseball. So that's what hurts. Anyway, Houston 8, the White Sox 3. That was my 2 unit. Houston, they win. Hunter Brown 5-1 with a 1.67 now. There you go. So this was what should have been, right? Hunter Brown 5-1 with a 1.67 against Frazier Ellard 0-2 with the 6.75, 8-3. It's about the score you expect. I saw it was tied at 3, and then Houston got 3 runs in the 7th inning or something. Cleveland 5, Toronto 3. I have Toronto over 8. It's a push. We have 5-3. I don't know if these were the starters because they both have low ERAs, so I would not have gone over with these 2 starters. So these are relievers. The 49ers in Colorado, they win 6-3. And we had the 49ers over 8.5. They get to 9 for me. So that was good. San Diego Pitt, I have San Diego. They win 2-1. I have San Diego. I didn't play them under, but you got to be careful. Pittsburgh doesn't hit a whole lot. That's why I was shocked when I bet Scanes and the other guy and the other team, and they played like a 12-run game, and you're like, and then they play a 2-1 game here. It's just crazy. Miami against Oakland. This is a 2 unit. I have this game over 8.5, and Miami wins 9-6. Miami can score, and Oakland can score. So I go over 8.5, and that was easy. So now I'm 3-0 in my picks. Having a good day. Minnesota 4, Boston 3. I have Boston under 9.5, as I thought the pitching was going to be good, and it was. So 4-3, under 9.5. I hit Boston. Then a surprise, I have Arizona for 2. This is my last pick, my 4th pick, and Philly beats them 7-2. Aaron Nola finally plays well, 1-5 with a 4.61, gives up 2 runs to Arizona. Braden Pfaadt, who was pitching good, 5-1. I don't know what he gave up, but now he's got a 3.79 ERA. So now the game's a little different. But Nola finally gets a win. He hadn't won, and he had a 5 ERA. So I'm shocked that Arizona only got 2 runs in this game at home. Oh, no, it was at Philly. Washington and Cincinnati. I have Cincinnati. Nick Lodotto, 3-3 with a 3.27. Gives up 11 to Washington. Jalen Daniels wants to play for Washington. Trevor Williams, 2-3 with the 5.86. So this ends up being an over. I have Washington without much hitting, but now let's see what Washington looks like. Washington, where the hell are you? Yeah, they went from 2 hitters to 4 hitters. So I updated everything, and I'll go through that. So now they're more of a they can score. So I think what happens early on, it's cold, it's April, they're not used to it. A lot of bad batting averages, but by now the batting averages are. Altuve was hitting 210, is hitting 310. So the hitters start hitting. So we've got to change the stats, and we did that yesterday. Seattle 2, Texas 1. We have Texas under 9. That wins. Very good. We have the Cubs 6, Milwaukee 2. We played Milwaukee. Jose Quintana 4-1 with the 2.83, and James Talon 2-1 with the 3.86. What can I say? Milwaukee, the Cubbies win. The Dodgers in Atlanta. I play this game under. We had two pretty good pitchers in the threes ERA, and the Dodgers win 10-3. I have Atlanta under, but it wasn't a bet. I got KC under 9. KC wins the game 4-0 over Baltimore. And then Chris Bubik is 3-2 with a 1.98 ERA, and that's what you expect with the 1.98 ERA. An under game, and KC wins. In the last game, I have Detroit over 8.5. They lose 5-2. Joe Flaherty 1-4 to 3.79. They're all excited about him. I don't know why. Kyle Hendricks finally gets a win, 1-3 with the 5.28. I played the game over because Detroit normally scores, and they had nothing. They scored a run in the 8th and a run in the 9th. And that was it. And California got 5 runs. So as I said before, Detroit has a hard time playing on the West Coast. They usually can't beat Oakland, and they usually can't beat California. The Dodgers in San Diego are National League, so they don't play that much, but they always struggled with California and Oakland. Reggie Jackson. Postponed the Mets in St. Louis, so that'll be today. So overall, of the 4 picks, Houston wins, Frisco over 8.5 wins, Oakland over 8.5 wins, and we lose Arizona. Again, they're playing Philadelphia. You got to be careful whenever you play the really good teams. If you play the Eagles or against, you're careful against Kansas City. You're careful against Buffalo. You're careful, not the games you really want to be messing with. But the other 3, so 3-1, and a lot of winners. Huge day yesterday. All right. Now, let me give you the updated team. Now, this is really hitters over 255. And under about 230. Because I'm noticing in the box scores, there'll be a guy hitting 180 and he gets 3 hits. And so I took it down to 250 because they're going to get hits too. They're not under 200 or 220 hitters. So I'm kind of like good hitters, bad hitters. So I went from 275 down to about 255, and then from 225 under 230. And that way, I'm just trying to get a ballpark here. So the Yankees didn't change. They got 4 good hitters and 4 bad hitters. Toronto went up to 5 good hitters and 4 bad hitters. The bad hitters are coming up. So you go from 5 or 6 to like 2 now. Boston went up from 3 good hitters to 6 good hitters and went to 3 bad hitters from 5. Baltimore still, I think there are 2 good hitters and 7 bad hitters. Baltimore, as we see, has no hitting, and now it's becoming more clear. You got 7 hitters hitting under 220, you got a problem. Tampa Bay went from 5 hitters to 1 hitter and 4 bad. They got a lot in the middle, 240, 250. So I didn't know where to put them, but they have 4 hitters hitting under 220. Detroit's gone from 6 to 5 and 3 bad hitters. Cleveland, 3 good hitters, 5 bad hitters. KC, 3 good hitters, 5 bad hitters, down from 6. Minnesota went from 1 good hitter to 5 good hitters and went from 5 bad hitters to 4. So all of a sudden, Minnesota go, they can't hit. They got 1 hitter. Now they got 5 hitters. This is all as of last night's action. The White Sox, 2 good hitters, 6 bad hitters. They had 8 bad hitters, so they're starting to hit a little more. Texas, 5 hitters, 4 bad hitters. Seattle went from 1 hitter to 3 hitters and 8 bad to 4 bad. So Seattle, and you can see they're winning and they're scoring. I'm taking notes of the scores and going, oh, well, Seattle not supposed to hit, and they're getting 10 runs. Something's going on. California, 2 hitters and 7 bad hitters and a bad bullpen. Houston went from 2 to 6 hitters and 3 bad. They got their hitters going. Oakland, 5 good hitters and 2 bad hitters, so they're not that bad. And you can see if you got hitters, you're going to be okay. The JETS, Mets, 6 good hitters up from 4 and 5 bad hitters down to 2. All of a sudden, the Mets, 6 hitters and 2 bad. Philadelphia went from 6 to 4 hitters and then 2 bad. So they got a lot of 240, 250 hitters. Miami, 7 good hitters, 2 bad hitters, hasn't changed. And that's why we bet them over yesterday. They came through. Washington, 4 good hitters, 3 bad hitters. They come up from 2, so now they got 4 guys that can hit and only 3 bad. Atlanta, 5 good hitters and 1 bad hitter up from 4. They got some injuries, guys that are back, and they've been winning. The Cubbies, 7 good hitters and 2 bad. They've been, they're a good team. Milwaukee, 7 good hitters and 2 bad, up from 5 and down from 4 to 2. Cincinnati, 5 hitters, 4 bad hitters. This has changed. There was 2, now there's 4. St. Louis, 5 good hitters and 2 bad hitters. This was 4 and 5. It's now 5 and 2. Pittsburgh only has 3 good hitters and 4 bad hitters. San Diego went from 7 to 5, but they had injuries, and then 2 bad hitters. The Dodgers, 7 good hitters up from 4 and 2 bad. And we know the Dodgers score a lot of runs. San Francisco has now got 3 good hitters and 6 bad hitters. I think that was up from 2. And it was 8, so they're getting a little better. Arizona, from 5 to 6, they got 6 good hitters, 2 bad hitters, which is why I bet them over yesterday, or why I bet them at all. In Colorado, with a whopping 3 good hitters and 5 bad hitters, and they're even worse on the road. Colorado's the one team, maybe Boston, maybe the Cubs. You really got to look at them at home or on the road. Boston in that small ballpark, the Cubs in the small ballpark, Colorado in their softball field at home, but not on the road. So you really have to pay attention. Most of the other teams, there's a little bit of home field, but not really too much. All right. So we will take that into consideration when we pick the games. The new, all of a sudden a couple hitters get hot. We want to notice that. And the same thing when they have no hitters. Your anticipation is not going to score. All right. It's 11:02, and we got first game 1:15, so we have time. The Mets at the Cardinals, they got postponed yesterday. Look for them. Probably play a doubleheader. The Mets 22-11, and the Cards 14-19. We have the Mets minus 125, 8.5. Blake Tidwell, 0-0 with an 0-0. What do we do with this guy? Eric Fetty, 1-3 with the 4.68. So we got to anticipate this is a new pitcher that they're probably going to hit him a little bit. I mean, it'll be tough because you really don't know what he's got. But the Mets should hit the Cards, as the Mets have 6 hitters St. Louis only has 5 hitters, I think. So should be some hits in the game. The over-under is 8.5. We know Fetty's 1-3 with the 4.68. We see the Mets favored by 125 and an 8.5. I don't know. It's a little tough because Blake Tidwell's an unknown. Therefore, what are we supposed to do with him? We don't know if he's good, bad, or ugly, and we don't know if he's going to shut out everybody or they're going to get 10 runs on him. So my tentative is to take this game over because they both can hit pretty good, but I can't bet it. 8.5, we'll see. San Diego and Pitt. San Diego 21-11, Pitt 12-22. Pitt 120-9, Pitt's favored. Stephen Kolek, again, 0-0 with the 0-0 against Andrew Haney, 2-2 with the 250. It was a 2-1 game yesterday. Let's go under today. Under 9. Haney with the 250 ERA. I'm not expecting that much. San Diego and Pitt. Pitt's got three hitters, 4 bad. San Diego's got 5 hitters, 2 bad. But Haney's with the 2.50 ERA. So this probably would be an under game. Pitt doesn't hit. Tampa Bay and the Yankees played a 3-2 game or 2-1 game? No scoring. The Yankees are not scoring. And I see the Yankees are a 190 favorite with a 9 total. I'm going, Yankees don't score. Ty Bradley, 2-2 with the 4.58, and Will Warren, 1-5 with the 5.63. That's why the total is 9. But what do? The Yankees don't score. And the ironic part is Aaron Judge is hitting like 430, and Goldsmith's hitting like 370. Now, if you're a smart team, probably like Tampa, you just pitch around those guys. You just walk them and then then go after the guy who's hitting 170. The Yankees have 4 and 4, so they got 4 bad hitters, and Tampa's got 1 hitter and 4 bad. I don't see how this gets to 9. But you look at the ERAs and you say, yeah, that's how it's going to get to 9. So based on the pitching, it's an over. Based on the hitting, it's an under. I don't know what to do with this game. Because of the total of 190, I could see betting a little bit on Tampa to win. The Yanks aren't hitting, but you never know. They could explode for 5 runs today. So I'm going to go with Tampa, but no bet. When I see a bet, I will raise my hand. Minnesota and Boston. Minnesota 14-20. Boston 18-17. Boston's minus 210. 8.5. Boston is not a good team. No, it's Baltimore. Boston's got 6 hitters now, and Minnesota's got 5. So you should have hitting. We got Chris Paddock, Minnesota, with a 5.60 ERA, and Garrett Crochet 3-2 with a 2.05. That explains Boston being a big favorite. I'm going to go over because it's in Boston and both have hitting. So I'm going to make this our first play. Boston over 8.5, 2 units. It's in Fenway. Paddock's got a 5.60. He's 0-3 with a 5.60 ERA. Crochet's good, but Minnesota can hit. Boston could easily get 9 runs. I mean, so I think I find it hard to believe I can't get 10 runs in this game. Even the Croquet, he's okay, give him 5 or 6 innings, but I think Boston can get us the total. So bet Boston, yeah, but they're laying 210. It's weird. It's almost like they don't want you to bet certain games. You know, it's they make In football, they make them 30-point favorites, or they make the over-under 75. And you're like, well, how the fuck can I bet 75 total? So it's like they don't want you to bet it. They make it so high, thinking you're going to bet it, but there's a point it gets too high, we don't bet. But here, the total at 8.5 is fine. KC Baltimore. Now we see Baltimore sucks. 2 hitters, 7 bad hitters. KC. 3 hitters, 5 batters. This shouldn't be a lot of runs. It wasn't yesterday. Baltimore's favorite 149.5. Michael Lorenzen 3-3 with the 3.48 against Kyle Gibson 0-1 with the 22.09. I remember the game last week. That was his first game, and he, it's just a bad inning. The ERA is really based on 9 innings. So if you play all 9, and he gave up 22, that's one thing, but he did it in 2 or 3 innings. Probably gave up 7 runs or something. However, I'm not buying he's a 22, but Lorenzen's 3.48. Total of 9.5. We got to go under 9.5 here. KC under 9.5, and I believe KC's a play here also. Kyle Gibson's not that bad, 22.09, but he's certainly not that good. The real ERA is probably 5 for Kyle Gibson, which is not good. But they don't have hitting, neither team, so this shouldn't be a lot of scores. Cleveland, Toronto. Cleveland 102-8. Tanner Bibby 2-2 with the 4.36 against Bowden Francis 2-4 with the 5.28. Let's see if Cleveland and Toronto can hit. Toronto has 5 hitters. Cleveland with only 3, not hitting that well with these pitching. I'm going to go over 8. And we'll play it from there. Oakland, Miami. Oakland minus 125.9. JP Sears 4-2 with the 2.94 against Edward Cabrera 0-1 with the 7.23. We're going to go over here. Oakland over 9, and we'll play this for 2 units. You think about playing Oakland. It's in Miami, so you're going to have heat. 0-1 with the 7.23. Miami beat them yesterday. It was a high-scoring game, so my thought is it'll be a high-scoring game here. Series is okay, but we'll see. Over 9. Arizona, Philly. Now, it's going to take a lot to play Arizona again. Philly's a 160 favorite at 9 total. Edward Rodriguez, 1-3 with a 6.06 against Ranger Suarez. Now, Ranger Suarez was really hot last year, and then he got hurt. Very good pitcher. I doubt he goes more than 4 innings today. Rodriguez stinks. 1-3 with a 6.06. I think we got to go over here. Philly over 9, but Ranger Suarez could keep it low. Philadelphia with 4 hitters, two bad hitters, and they're playing Arizona, who's got 6 hitters and 2 bad hitters. So what we had it yesterday over, I think. No, we just played Arizona. It was high scoring yesterday. So that's why I'm playing it over. I think Philly will go to town on Rodriguez with a 6 ERA, and I think Ranger Suarez will go 3 or 4 innings because it's his first start, but we know he's very good. And I think Philly wins, but Arizona's got hitting. And Suarez depends on their bullpen, but I think this should be scoring. So we're going over 9 with Philly. The Cubs in Milwaukee. We had Milwaukee yesterday, and the Cubs won. Cubs minus 118, 7.5. Shoti Imanaga 3-1 with the 2.77 against Freddie Peralta, 3-2 with the 2.52. So you go, oh, we're going under, and then you go, wait a minute. The Cubs with 7 hitters and 2 bad, and Milwaukee with 7 hitters, 2 bad. You got some stacked lineups. This is the reverse of the other, where you had 2 pitchers in the 5s and no hitting, and now you got great hitting and a 2.77 and a 2.52. There's no way I'm taking the Cubs here. Milwaukee can certainly play well. 7.5, but you got good pitching. So what are you going to do with it? Feels so good to eat. But it's pretty good starving yourself too. I mean, this game's dead even. Cubs won yesterday. I'll make a pick. I'm going to go over. I shouldn't go over, but I'm going to go. Well, based on the pitching, it's an under, and the hitting and pitching win. Okay, we'll go under. Cubs under 7.5. But you should trust your first instinct, which is to go over. Houston and the White Sox. The White Sox 9-24. The White Sox are terrible. The White Sox have 2 hitters and 6 bad. And Houston is getting healthy, 6 hitters and 3. Houston should win based on hitting. Let's look at pitching. Houston's at minus 200, 8.5. Lance McCullers 0-0 with an 0-0-0. Bryce Wilson 0-1 with the 5. So we're going to take Houston here. And we'll go 2 units. Better hitting, better pitching. Even McCullers I've heard of. Seattle and Texas. We got Texas minus 175, 8.5. Seattle's been hitting. Texas has been hitting. Texas is 5 hitters. Seattle 3, up from 1 now. They've been scoring. They're 20-12. Texas minus 175, 8.5. Logan Evans 1-0 with the 3.60. Jacob deGrom 1-1 with the 2.73. I don't buy Texas as this huge favorite. Well, they're betting on deGrom. So if that's the case, we're going to go under 8.5, Seattle. They got a pretty good pitcher. Well, I don't know. Logan Evans, never heard of him, but 3.60 ERA. Colorado goes to the 49ers, and the 49ers are minus 357.5. They don't want you betting this game. German Marquez 0-5 with a 9.82, and that's why. Logan Webb 3-2. So the obvious play is the Niners. Total is 7.5. Do we maybe go that route? Frisco with looks like 2 hitters and 6 bad hitters. I think they've had injuries. Colorado 3 hitters and 5 bad, but they're on the road. Yeah, I mean, you got to bet Frisco, but it's such a big number. Hard to bet. Detroit goes to California. California beat them pretty good yesterday, 5-2. It's 5-0 in the 8th. Detroit 175, 8.5. I don't smell that at all. Reese Olson, I don't smell him. 3-2 with the 3.55. Jack Kananowicz 1-4 at the 5.29. Detroit was a pretty good pitcher yesterday. This guy's a 5.29. So I got to play. Let's go Detroit over 8.5. Should be high scoring. I mean, the Angels got 5 on the one guy, so he was better than Reese Olson's not very good. 3-2 with the 3.55 looks good, but he's not really. Not on the road. Some of these pitchers are just good at home. Washington, Cincinnati. Cincinnati minus 128.5. Mackenzie Gore 2-3 with the 3.51 against Nick Martinez 1-3 with the 4.68. I believe this is a nice over. Washington 4 hitters. Cincinnati 5 hitters. Bad pitching 8.5. Okay, let's go over. Washington over 8.5. Now they beat Lodolo, who's a pretty good pitcher with a 2 ERA. Yes, it was a high-scoring game. So Washington is hitting, Cincy's hitting. So we'll go over 8.5, and we'll make this 2 units. We got the Mets and Cards game 2. Mets minus 145, 7.5. Tyler McGill, 3-2 with the 174. Andrew Palante, 2. So we're gonna go with the Mets. We went Mets over in game 1, and we're just gonna take the Mets in game 2. In our last game, the Dodgers in Atlanta, Dodgers 135, 9.5. Dustin May 1-1 with the 3.95. Bryce Elder 1-1 with the 5.33. We've got should be high score. You know the Dodgers score a lot. Atlanta nothing. Yeah. Okay. This is the Dodgers over 9.5. Atlanta I think can hit. Yeah, they got 5 hitters now, so they're getting their players back who are good hitters. And we know the Dodgers can hit, and the pitching's not really good. So we'll play this for 2 units. All right, let's recap. So we start off with the Mets in game 1, over 8.5. San Diego under 9. Tampa Bay to win. Boston over 8.5. KC under 9.5, I believe. Toronto over 8. Oakland over 9. Philly over 9. The Cubs under 7.5. Houston. Seattle under 8.5. The 49ers. Detroit over 8.5. Washington over 8.5. The METS, Mets in the game 2, and the Dodgers over 9.5. The bets, Boston over 8.5, 2 units. Oakland over 9, 2 units. Houston, 2 units. Washington over 8.5, 2 units. And the Dodgers over 9.5, 2 units. So we ended up finding 5 games to bet smallly. Can't get too crazy in baseball. It just... There's way too many variables. I speak of variables in football. And this is crazy because you got the starting pitcher for 5, maybe 6 innings, maybe 7. The guy pitched 7 2/3 innings against the Tigers yesterday. So you got figure 5, 6 innings. Then you got the bullpen, and you don't know which bullpen guys. That's the problem. They get 10 guys in the bullpen because nobody can pitch more than 1 inning for a week. Then he pitched 1 inning yesterday. Can't pitch today. We might wear his arm out. So when he goes free agent on the other team, he'll be fine. Baseball is really getting stupid. Too much analytics and not enough coaching. Right now, a chimp could coach it. So it's really stupid. Oh, I'm going to take my 300 hitter out because they're putting a righty in, and I pinch hit him with a guy hitting 087. Yeah, it makes good sense. Stupidest managed. So it makes it very hard, the variables, to really, how long am I getting my pitcher who's got a 1.0 ERA or he's getting a 9.0 ERA? So when I look at, let's see. So I look at the Tiger game, and the California pitcher, Jack Conowitz, is 1-4 with a 5.29. How many innings am I going to get from him? Why is he in the major leagues? But more so, how many innings can I get from him? 5 at the most? Now I'm into the bullpen. Are they going to hold the team, or are they going to give up a bunch of runs? Depends how good the bullpen is. It depends on which guys are coming out. And then, the lineup's got to change because, if he's a right-handed pitcher, I put in lefties. But if they come out with a left-handed pitcher, I got to pinch hit the whole team. These managers, oh, my God. So there's a lot of variables in that. So you cannot really bet this big like we could. The NBA, I've been so on fire, or football. You got Mahomes the whole game. You got Burrow the whole game, and Chase and Jefferson. These guys are playing the whole game. So you really don't have a worry. If they get injured, they get injured. There's nothing you can do there. But they're playing the whole game. That's the difference in football and probably basketball too. You're pretty much getting Steph Curry the whole game. I believe that's today. And anyway, so that's baseball. Let's go to NBA. And I am so hot. It's scary. So if we go back let's go back to Friday night. Friday night, my lock is Houston getting points from Golden State. They were down 3-2 at home, had to win, and they win 115-107, and I believe they were getting points. That was Friday night. So we got Houston as a lock. Houston wins. Yesterday, we got Denver as a lock. Game 7, but they're at home and they're only laying 1.5. Denver wins 120-101. That was an easy one because Denver is playing better. But as I say, in game 7s, it tends to go to the home team because the role players on San Diego aren't going to show up. The role players on Denver will. The crowd's screaming. It's you need Larry Bird and Magic to win those games, not or Jordan, but not whoever's playing now is weak. They're terrible players. So we hit the Denver lock. Game 7, we're cooking. And now let's look at today. We got Golden State, Houston, game 7. Now here it gets tricky. Houston's laying 2.5. But now both teams have to win it. The other game, Golden State could lose and Houston had to win, even though it was at Golden State. And I heard they pulled their starters because they knew they could lose and still not lose the series. And Houston was do or die, which is exactly what I'm saying. So I know Golden State pulled Steph Curry and a few other guys in the third quarter and got killed. But now here we go. This is now who's clutch. Houston at Golden State. See, it's not. This is why AI could never do this. This is a gut feel. This is not looking at numbers and figuring out the variables. Do I take Houston laying 2.5, or do I go with Steph Curry in clutches? I heard he hurt his hand. That probably won't. They'll probably freeze it. I'm getting 2.5. Yeah, I'm going to go Golden State. People have made a comment. Well, Houston's the 2 seed. Houston's 52-30 and Golden State's 48-34. Please don't give me this 2 seed shit. They're basically even. I consider Cleveland, Indiana. Cleveland won 64 games. Indiana 50. That's a big thing. 52-48. It's not a 2 seed and a 7 seed. So I don't buy that Houston's better than Golden State. In fact, the series is tied at 6. I'm going to take Steph Curry in a big game to come through because he's done it before. So let's take Golden State 2.5. Not a lot, but we'll take them. In the other game, Indy at Cleveland. Cleveland 8.5, 230, 64-18. Cleveland, and I think that's before sweeping Miami, and then Indy, who did beat Milwaukee in 5. So this should be a pretty good thing. I don't know how good Indy is. Is Reggie Miller still on the team? Cleveland, 64-18. So I'm going to go with, let's see. I'm going to go with, let's start with Cleveland minus 8.5. Game 1. Usually they're filling each other out, but the home team has an edge in game 1 because they have to win their 2 games, their 2 home games. Indy's looking for a split. So Indy doesn't care if they lose this game. They get the feel of it and then look for Indy in game 2 if Cleveland wins. Really, this is a small one. Whoever loses this game is the bet in game 2. Now, my guess is Cleveland jumps out. They seem like a dominant team so far. We don't know how good Indy is. So I'd say Cleveland wins this first game, good. And then the test is how strong is Indy? Is Cleveland going to win in 4, or is Indy going to give them a series? And that's really what you're looking at. And so I'm like, we'll see. I think Cleveland goes first. And normally I would take Houston in game 7, the home team, but I don't know who they have, and Steph Curry is good enough for me. So I like Golden State here. So let's see if I can stay hot. Cleveland makes sense. Golden State, it's game 7. And they're getting 2.5. So even if they lose, I don't believe Houston's going to blow them out. And that is that. And let's see, anything in the NFL? Any news? What's with these prank phone calls? Abdul Carter received a prank phone call. Gentry received a prank phone call. So whoever's guarding this is doing a real bad job. It's funny. They find the Atlanta guy like it was his fault. I don't think it was. I think this is the Russians or somebody playing around, showing what they can do, because they can see everything. So I don't like Kelsey. The guy rips Prime Junior. What is that about? Kelsey, it's not your business. Shut the fuck up. Better's expecting improvement from Caleb. Why? Why would you think he's going to get better? The Bears are the team with most wagers at BetMGM to go over the season win total 8.5. It'll never happen. They can't beat Minnesota. Well, maybe. No, yeah, McCarthy's weak. Green Bay and Detroit. So, yeah, I don't see who they're beating. I don't see who they're better. I don't like their coach. I don't like their quarterback. They need running, and the defense is pretty solid. So the problem is the coach. You got a new coach who's never coached before. You got a quarterback who's terrible. And don't tell me Bryce Young all of a sudden got better, because I'm not buying that one. He didn't. He had a few games at the end of the year where he was pretty good. I hate when that happens. All right. NFL we'll talk about more when preseason goes, get a look at it, and injuries and stuff like that. I'm not buying that the Bears are going to be good. I'm not buying their coach is any good. Now he's got to prove it to me. But what he did at Detroit, the offensive coordinator, when the big games, he choked. If you notice, against Houston, 5 turnovers. Against Washington, the playoff game, 5 turnovers. Against Baltimore the year before, doesn't show up. Against Dallas, they played terrible. So beating the weak teams, he did, but he doesn't have the same. He doesn't have the running. Caleb is as bad as Jared Goff is. Caleb's terrible. Their line stinks, and their receivers are TJ Moore or JT Moore, whatever his name is. And that's it. They got one receiver. These other rookies, you have no idea. Loveland was injured for Michigan. He missed the Ohio State game. He's not a winner. He's a loser. When you don't play your big game, there's a problem there. All right. No comments. Where's all my comment people? All right. Let's get to I'm seeing a lot of problems with people understanding what a tariff is, what caused the depression, all the similarities that's happening now, what money is, what gold is. keep your money in. All I see is keep your money aside. I keep getting these job opportunities for being like a financial planner or something like that. And I'm like, I'm going to tell everybody to buy gold, and you need somebody to sell stocks. I'm not going to tell anybody to buy stocks. I'm not going to tell anybody to buy stocks. So if you can't handle me giving the truth and actually helping people, then go fuck off. I'm not going to tell people to buy stocks when we all know it's the worst thing you could do right now. So let's dive in. Let's dive into let's go into history here. So we start with J.P. Morgan, the original, responsible for the U.S. into World War I. 1914 recession, crash. The U.S. is the chief supplier of arms to both sides. Agriculture booms, copper, minerals, manufacturing, war material. So we create the war so we can sell our military. So this started happening in 1914. Oh yeah, that's when the Federal Reserve came into play. So they see, before it was the gold standard, and you only had so much money. If you had $1 million in gold, that's all you could print, $1 million, and that's supposed to take care of the country. But back then, you didn't need a lot for the country. And then, but to have a war, you needed to print more money to make more guns and ammunition stuff, which you couldn't do on gold. So that's why the Federal Reserve, the note is, the banks screwed up so badly and got so badly in the debt, they created the Federal Reserve to bail out the banks. And it's not part of the government. Morgan propaganda, he owned 25 newspapers. Morgan buys all war material for France and England. Gold influx from England and France because that's how they had to pay for it. So he would sell the material and they'd pay him in gold. Didn't want money, wanted gold. Securities are also used to buy war materials. Morgan liquidates. Britain sells stocks. Britain sells the stocks also to pay for the material. Private loans through Morgan. These are how they finance. So the first question is, why are they going to war when they don't have any money? If England's bankrupt, why are they going into war? Or to go into war, you have to use all your gold up and sell your stocks to go into a war. Why are you going to war? England's an island. They're not in any real danger. This was a World War I war. Not World War II. There's no Hitler going around. So it's really surprising. But notice it happens right after the Federal Reserve is invented in 1914. Boom, all of a sudden all this happens. 1915, Lusitania incident. Britain boat full of ammunition gets sunk. Woodrow Wilson works for Morgan. That's how the Federal Reserve got in. Amazing how a president works for the bank. Do you think I'm joking when I tell you about this? Hey, Prophet. I am up nice and early. I started a little earlier. I did 70 hours of fasting yesterday, and I got a good night's sleep. So I'm like, I got up at like 8:30, and so I'm just starting to eat now. At the beginning, but yeah, it's I thought I'd get to this now, and so I talk baseball, I talk basketball, and now I'm talking the depression because nobody understands the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act caused the depression. If you listen to Peter Davis Hansen, he he's a good historian, but he's an idiot when it comes to economics. He should stay out of his field. He should stay in his field. That'd be like me talking about brain surgery. I don't have a clue. Now I can talk about food because I watch the food doctors, and I'm just spitting out what they're saying without making you watch all their videos. But you got to stick in your thing. I'm not an auto mechanic or anything to do with cars. So I do that. There was no noise last night. I had went to at 10:30. I had went to the thing. I think I told you, and she called them and said, "Hey, there's noise limitations here. What are you doing?" And this was the second call, and I said, "You got to do something. This is crazy. I'll need a new apartment or something." She said, "Well, if they're really loud at like 10, 11 o'clock, call the police." And I said, "Well, I really don't want to, but it's good to know if I do." And but I let you call them and let's see if how they're going to react. So yesterday they didn't. It's really a guy who lives there, but his girlfriend comes over with their dog, and they're not supposed to have the dog in the apartment. I told her there's a dog barking all the time. She says he doesn't have a dog. Well, I'm hearing barking. I have it on the video because you said something. You could hear the dog barking. I don't remember which class it was. And you can't go off the lease. Pretty strict about that. Like I can't make a lot of noise at midnight or 1 or 2. So anyway, I didn't hear anything, and I got to sleep, and I got up to go to the bathroom because fasting as long as I did, I drank a lot because I was hungry. But no, I got a good night's sleep. That's why I'm up early because I was sleeping on the couch watching a movie yesterday, and like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, I'm like sound asleep, and then I went into bed to sleep, so it was good. But usually I watch the TV, fall asleep, and then I go into bed. But I couldn't do that because the noise was so loud. I couldn't sit in my living room, and I go, "This is ridiculous. This is my living room. I'm paying for it. I shouldn't be run out of my living room." Or I was ready to get a hotel room the other night. Part of it, I believe, was I was fasting, and it was 48 hours. And it's hard to get to sleep anyway. Like had it been a normal night, I probably maybe would have got to sleep. But when you're fasting, it's really difficult because your body's trying to get energy and food, and the body eats the fat. So you're really you're trying to, it's hard to sleep. And then you're waking up to go to the bathroom a lot because the only thing you can have is water and tea. Prophet, yeah, most of us have a noise curfew of 11. Here it's 10, but the city has a 10 o'clock. So she said, if it's noisy, call the cops because they're not there, right? They go home at 5 or 6 and they can't do anything. But, I said, well, okay, it's good to know. Let's see if he's new, so he doesn't know how loud he is. So I'm trying to give it the break of he doesn't know he's so loud. He doesn't understand. Maybe you came from a house or something, and you really have to live in an apartment to realize how the noise is, how loud. I mean, I hear the people next door, but not too. They used to be loud, and then I told the office, and the guy had his TV speakers hooked up to my wall here, so they took them down and said, "No, you can't do that. You're too loud." People come in, they don't understand. I mean, this is why I hate apartments. I can't wait to move into a house when gold goes up and the housing goes down, because it's just too loud. Because even if I move to a different apartment here or anywhere, you don't know who you're going to get as neighbors. In a condo, you're fine because usually in a condo, you've got it. It's your space. There's nobody above or below you, and so it's much easier to do that. But yeah, there is a curfew. It's in the lease. I think here it's 8 o'clock or 10 o'clock in the lease. And, people should be able to get to sleep and that. And they were yelling and the dog was barking. And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with these people? So I've never met them. I haven't seen them yet. They just moved in a couple weeks ago. But this is the second and better be the last incident. Now, I haven't talked to them. That's the next step, is to talk to them and explain, you're way too fucking loud. You got to cut it out. But anyway, so let's go back to economics. So 1916, the Colonel House, Morgan's friend, Vatican has peace plan, Britain rejects the offer. Does that sound like what's happening now? Where Zelensky wanted a peace plan and Britain rejected it? Wilson put us into World War I, 1917, U.S. in England's side, U.S. tricked into war. So again, wars are very expensive. Why are we giving all this money to Zelensky in Ukraine? Let them fight their own war. What is this proxy war? They're fighting our war. All the Ukrainians are getting killed. This is insanity. And we're off the gold standard in 1917 because the war is expensive. They needed money. That's why we have wars now, is they spend the money. And you got to realize, why I talk inflation. You're printing and printing and printing all this money to pay for the war. And these idiots think, oh, it doesn't affect the money. Yeah, it affects the money supply. If you print too much, it's worthless. And that's why you see the dollar hammered down. That's why we're talking gold and silver, because you can see the gold going out, right? Or the gold going. You can see the dollar going out. The war's very expensive. 1917, Russia, Lenin leads the communist revolution. 1916, Russian Revolution, Kerensky regime, communism wins the revolution. 1917 to 1989, you have communism. The confusing part is, if communism doesn't work, how did communism last from 1917 to 1989? Well, the reason is the economy was not communist. The government was. What does that mean? Well, wait a minute, either it is or no, it's like us. We are half socialist and half capitalist. So the markets make the money, and then all the socialists steal the money for all these social programs. So it's a combination. But if you let the economy be capitalism, then that's really the saving grace. 1918, Germany gets peace. Treaty of Versailles, British blockade wins the war. So they couldn't get supplies to Germany because it's landlocked. So J.P. Morgan's the motherfucker that gets us into the war, and it's never stopped. He's still a son of a bitch, right? Causes all these problems. The Fed inflates by lowering the reserve requirements, puts more money out there. The boom happens because the U.S. produces for the rest of the world. The U.S. was a debtor before World War I, is a creditor after World War I. We should have free trade to get paid off. A novel idea. Britain has U.S. competition. No gold standard. We sell on credit to Europe, and this is the beginning of our problem that's been going on since 1918 to today. Is all this credit in it? Why are we on? It's like us not using our credit cards to buy everything. You got to pay them off, even if you are the government. 1919 to 1920, the world is buying from the U.S. all on credit. We go on COD to the rest of the world. All trade stops. That's not good. This starts the bust recession. Farmers are stupid. They think the boom will keep going. Manufacturing is smart. They hold reserves. 1920. So here's the roaring 20s. Hardin is president. Return to normalcy. That's what we think with Trump. It'll return to normalcy. Harding program to solve the recession. President 1920. Oh, how unusual. Lower taxes. Cut government expenditures, deregulate the economy, hands off laissez-faire economy, and he restores the gold standard. 1921 and 1922, Fortney-McCumber tariff, raised tariff, agriculture goes into a recession. So every time you do tariffs, you cause a recession, depression. What is Trump doing, right? Easy money starts the Great Depression in a sense. This is 1922. Low interest rates to farmers. Banks lend out money to foreigners, credit, stabilization policy, falling prices. Fed prints money to stabilize prices. What have we heard this before? They're inflating. To fend off competition, this sets up trade cycles. It's not good. To save England, started unions, never lowered tax rates, Fed lowered interest rates to save England after World War One. Why are we worried about England? Who's running the US, us or England? I think the English. The Fed, 1922, 24, 27, inflates dollars into the economy to keep the boom going. So now it's not going because of savings. It's not going because of productivity. It's going because of money printing. What do we have now? Oh, yeah, money printing up the ass. Germany, hyperinflation, 1924, Dawes Plan by American bankers lend Germany gold to go on gold standard to collect on the debt. So after World War I, Germany had to pay for the war. Don't know why. There was no winner in the war, but they didn't have the money, so they would borrow it, which led to their hyperinflation. They adopt free enterprise, sound currency. Germany borrows money back from the U.S. So Germany tries to go on the gold standard. 1924 to 1928, a boom in Germany. Germany must have free trade, a house of cards built on free credit. Again, not how you build the economy. 1924, new era government ability to interfere in the economy. It's not laissez-faire. You can see the problems. When I give you Adam Smith, it works. That's why it works. As soon as you get off of it, it doesn't work. What are you doing? Government ability to interfere in the economy. No more fear of recession or depression because of the Fed. 1924. New Deal 1924, government intervention. No, we want you out of the market. We don't want you in the market. Deliberate move for inflation by bank credit expansion. Age of intervention is government intervening in the economy, which doesn't work. That's socialism, communism. Why are we doing socialism, communism? Because the Federal Reserve, thanks to JP fucking Morgan and Woodrow Wilson, come into play because the banks fuck up their so bad that they need the Fed to come in and bail them out. But they didn't have the Fed before 1914, so they had to create this Fed because they're all going broke, all the banks. So by having this Federal Reserve print the money, which is totally illegal, not in the Constitution, there should not be a central bank, and only gold and silver should be money. All of a sudden, you're printing all this shit. It's not in how the hell did you pass the law? 1922, 24, 27, increase in the money supply to save Britain. 27 to 29, boom in stock prices. So the stock prices go up because of the money printing. So it looks like the economy is good, and everybody in the shoe shine boy, is giving out stock tips. Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act, 1929, handouts, trade implosion, cause of the Great Depression. Now, Victor Davis Hanson has his head up his ass. He keeps yelling, it's not the Great Depression, was not Smoot-Hawley. Yes, it was. 1929, the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act. 1929, stock market crashes. November 29 to April 1930, the market in that time regained 2/3 of its losses. So the depression wasn't the stock market crash, because the stock market crash by 1930 is fine. Then the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act, which caused the depression because you raise prices. Germany and Japan need world trade because they don't have it. Japan's zero economic resources must import everything. Germany's some economic resources must end. So these countries need a lot of stuff that we provide, or now that China provides. Tariffs hurt them the most. The war party comes into power in Japan, and of course Hitler in Germany. This is 1930-ish. The autocracy. Hitler, Germany should stand alone. Smoot-Hawley, one of the major reasons for World War II. What are you doing, Trump? You want another world war, World War III, because you want to do tariffs, because you think tariffs are so good? Well, your head's up your ass now too. Hurt agriculture industry. They cannot export, then a glut, and prices go down in the U.S. They couldn't export, so they used to export to Japan and Germany and other countries their food, right? Well, you made it so expensive they can't do it. Nobody can afford to buy it, which is happening now. They cannot export, then a glut. So they've got all this wheat that they can't export, so it stays here. Now you have this over saturation. You have too much. Well, what happens when supply is too high? Prices drop because it's going to go bad. So you got to sell it. Prices drop. 30% of banking disappears in 1929 and 30 because these were agriculture banks. So these banks loaned to the farmers. That was that was it. They couldn't loan to everybody. Just to so there's agriculture, there's manufacturing banks. Like if you're building the Empire State Building or you're building a bridge or something, you would borrow from those banks, but not agriculture banks. So agriculture banks lent to the farmers. But as the farmers couldn't sell because of the Tariff Act, the main cause of the Depression, as they couldn't lend, they lent it, but they couldn't sell. Therefore, they can't pay the banks back. And since the banks are only in agriculture, they're fucked because the whole point of a bank is to lend your money and get it back. That's how a bank survives. Well, wait a minute. The bank here the bank couldn't get their money back. And since they were all in agriculture, they were fucked. And all the banks, 30% of the banking disappears, mostly the agriculture banks. So let's say there's 90 banks, 30 of them are agriculture, they're done. The new era, more depressions or recessions. The Fed will print more money. That's our solution. The Fed will print money. Again, these are Keynesians. They don't get that you can't do that. The more you print, the less it's worth. This is why I keep saying it. This is where I get it from. There's a method to my madness, as we know. So you can't print. You just can't print unlimited. That's what inflation is. That's what it causes. So it causes recessions, depressions. Commercial banks, short-term notes stay liquid, are saved. Long-term banks fail. All right. The Hoover Program, the New Deal, 1929 and 1930. The New Deal raised tariffs, government spending, reflate the economy, inflation, raise taxes, keep wages up, unemployment. And you wonder why we had a depression. So multiple the tariff and then this. We're going to raise tariffs and more government spending because they think that's the cure is we'll spend the money out of it. This is why I don't like Keynesians because they're wrong. And so as soon as I know you're a Keynesian, I don't want to listen to you because you're telling me shit that's wrong. I don't want to listen to it. Bank of the U.S. crashes specialized in home equity loans. Okay. 1931 to bottom out. Now remember, the stock market is pretty much where it was 1929. By April 1930, it went from 250 down to like 50, and then it's back to like 210. So the stock market's fine. If you just stayed in it, you'd be fine. If you didn't panic, if you knew what you were doing and you're in the stock and you go, well, the company's doing well. Or if you didn't do margins on your stock, oh, you mean I can give you $10 and control, I can buy 1,000 shares with $10? Oh, okay. Yeah, until it goes down, then you got to cover it. And nobody could cover it. Nobody knew what the fuck it was going on. 1931, bottom out. Depression went worldwide. Austria, Germany, no credit, can't export, can't pay off debt. They can't make money. 1933, Hitler comes into power, and everybody's fucked right then. 1931, Britain goes off of gold. The gold exchange standard used gold and gold-backed currency. So now they're off of it in 1931 because they needed to print money. France and the Netherlands get hurt, cause a depression, and price of gold drops when Britain goes off gold. You can see what's happening. Everybody's in a depression. They can't afford to buy things. The currencies are all shit. They're using the gold to get money. Sound familiar? Only there was no bricks back then. 1932, U.S. goes off of gold. Reflation, tried to inflate, didn't pass. Agreement in France to let Germany out of their war debts. Both parties got conservative, Democrat, and Republican. Democratic Party platform. Does this sound familiar? Free trade, gold standard, cut government spending, reduce taxes, and deregulate. We're back to Adam Smith. We always go back to Adam Smith. But they never implement their policies. So here's the policies. This is what they run on, the Democrats, but they don't do it. FDR comes in 1932. This guy is Satan right there. March 4th, 1933, FDR takes office. He takes us off the gold standard and he raises taxes. In the middle of a depression with tariffs. What the fuck are you doing? So he kills the economy by raising it. So me and you go, we don't have any money to spend. Well, that's what an economy is. We work, we take our money, we spend it. The businesses all make money. They hire people. They go spend it. It's a domino effect. Then there was a bank holiday, open only to solvent banks. FDR starts the New Deal, Chapter 41. The platform, free trade, gold standard, cut government spending, reduce taxes, and deregulates. That's what he runs on. He gets elected. But what does he do? The New Deal, no free trade, outlaws the golds, you can't own gold, raise government spending, raises taxes, and he regulates. So the government gets involved with everything, which slows down everything. He does the opposite of the platform. Well, that happens a lot. And this is the problem with government. They'll tell you one thing and do the other. What the fuck is he doing? 1933, London Economic Conference. To restore trade, sound money. U.S. won't do either one. Conference blows up, causes World War II. So if 1933, they just would have restored trade and sound money, we wouldn't have World War II. And you wouldn't have lost, was it 140 million men or people? And you had to rebuild Germany and Japan, and all of Europe had to be rebuilt. So you could have avoided World War II by simply restoring money and sound money. What the fuck are you doing to not avoid a war? This is really concerning. FDR was a great salesman and no substance. Oh, yeah, we've seen that. Obama, Clinton, Bush Jr., Biden, Trump. Sounds like it. He didn't stop the Ukraine war yet. Why Germany and Japan went to war, Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act, and the London Economic Conference failure. As we said, the London Economics Conference in 1933 restored trade and sound money. So free trade, gold-backed currency. They wouldn't do it. You got World War II, you got Germany and Japan going in. So they wouldn't have gone in. If you would have done that in 1933, you would never had a world war that lasted until 1945. What the fuck's going on here? Who are these people in government? How do they get in, and how come you can't get them out when they make stupid decisions? Let's see. Hitler, a wallpaper hanger and a murderer. Nazis, National Socialist Party, 1924, backed by Thule Society, a racist, a socialist, an autocrat, 30% unemployment, Jews are the scapegoat. And it's amazing how they call Hitler far right. He's a socialist. The socialists are on the left side of the aisle, not the right side. So it's just funny. Conservatives are right. Freedom, free trade, get out of this, everything, capitalism. The left are the socialists, but they put Hitler on the right. He's far right. 1938, Hitler takes over Austria, Czechoslovakia, then divides. France, largest army, did nothing. Britain, largest navy, did nothing. Poland with Russia. This starts World War II. So you can see what's happening from the Depression. Um, Tariffs raise prices over market. So it comes back to my barbecue example. Oh, we're going to raise the ribs to 45 a slab, but we're only going to pay 30. So here's my wheat and my corn. I'm a farmer in the 1920s. This is my market, and you're through tariffs raising my cost. So now I got to sell it higher, but there's no market. The market is down here, and it's a domino effect. So as the market goes down, I don't have buyers and sellers. People need to eat, but I don't have buyers because I have to make my price higher or go out of business, because if something costs me $10, I got to sell it for 13, 14. But now my costs go up to 15 and I can only sell it for 13, 14. I can't, there's nothing I can do. I have to go out of business, and then I can lay off my people, and then they can't buy. This is the problem. Germany invades Russia. So this is the war ends in 1945. Germany invades Russia. U.S. gets in. And we get back to free trade and everything. Okay, so this is after, but we don't want to go that far ahead. Why does Germany have hyperinflation? Because they have to pay for World War I, a war that nobody won it. So, and that really caused World War II, because then you made the Germans mad that they had to pay all this, and they went through hyperinflation. So they don't give a shit. They don't have jobs. They don't have money. And Hitler comes along. Yeah, I can give you a job. You get to wear a uniform. Yeah, we'll feed you and we'll give you a gun. How about that? But see, everybody thinks the Germans had a choice. Once Hitler got in the power, you had no choice. You're either in the army, we're going to kill you. And that's really what it's about. So I watched an episode of Hogan's Heroes, right? About World War II. And he goes, well, you're the one who put him in power. Why don't you take him out? And I was like, what, are you kidding me? He's a fucking dictator. You can't just go take him out. They tried. That's what that Valkyrie movie was about. But he couldn't, once he gets in power, you don't have choices. There was no freedom there. There was gun control. So the military had the guns. You got to be careful because you can't defend yourself. That's why you can't have gun control. That's what people don't understand. It's so there's competition. You can't get rid of, if you have gun control, you have a monopoly where the military or the government has the guns and you don't. Well, it's not hard. If I'm the only one with the gun, boom, do what I say. But that's the beauty of the U.S. It isn't its competition. We can have guns, the military can have guns. So you don't know that we have guns or not. So you can't just walking around with your gun thinking we can't defend ourselves. That's what it's for. And that's why we can never lose the freedom of having the First Amendment with the guns, or the Second Amendment, I think. You can't get rid of that. You cannot go to, we'll have gun control. Yeah, so the government can basically kill us all, right? If you had gun control, we'd be dead. Look at Hitler, right? He did that. So as we see the Depression, it's because costs go up between tariffs and taxes. People lose their jobs, so they can't work. So there's no money in the economy, so they can't buy stuff. The other stores that sell the other stuff have to go out of business. Meanwhile, costs go up. And the government's explanation, well, we'll print more money. All that does is cause massive inflation, cause hyperinflation, which is what happened. And we see it happening now. We see this tariff come in, costs go up. We're in a depression. Only nobody will tell you we're in a depression. I love that when the news doesn't report the truth. That's another problem. Hitler ran the press and the movies. So Alyssa thinks that Trump Trump has concentration camps. And I'm like, I never heard that. I know there's concentration camps here, I think in Georgia and that. But I thought it was for like people in jail to move them there or something. But I've never heard. Like I said, if you get an offer to go on a train, don't accept it. Prophet, I thought Hitler was against communism and considered it Germany's biggest threat. Well, he was. He's a socialist, crazy guy. But that was, in his mind, not communism. It's like the government controls the market. Hitler controlled everything. He was a dictator. So he wanted to keep the power to himself, where Russia, the communists, the government ran everything. So Stalin was powerful, but the government would control things. So Hitler wanted to control everything. That's why he ended up screwing up the Russian invasion and D-Day and everything else. He fucked up because he then became the general of the army. He was a corporal. He had no army skill to run an army. That's why you have the generals. That's like if you own a plant, but you're the owner, you don't know how to run the plant. You have people, you come in, give me people to run the plant. You don't do that. So he did not like communism because he wanted to be in charge of everything. So let's see. All right, let's see. Let me see. Let's see. Oh, okay. Here's another piece on the Depression. The Great Depression by Seinholtz. Cause of the Depression, business stagnation and unemployment. The business cycle boom and bust. The stock market crashed. Interest rates went up. Business declined. Profits declined. Government had price controls. The dangerous price control. High tariff was a big problem. It went worldwide, was also the big problem. Farming collapsed because we couldn't export. So I talked about that. This led to a banking crisis. 1931, unemployment was 8 million. 1932, government doubled income tax. The fuck are you doing? Government caused the depression. Tariffs, price fixing for farmers, high income tax, and subsidies, and all other taxes were raised. This is how you want a depression, right? This is why I say it's very simple how to be a good country. Low taxes, low government spending, gold standard, free trade. And it works every time. And yet they don't want to listen to it. They want to get to this shit. What are you doing? FDR devalued the dollar by 40% and seized gold holdings, started minimum wage, government spending at 10 billion. Revenues were 3 billion. So you're getting 3 billion and you want to spend 10. Does that sound familiar? Yeah. NRA, National Recovery Administration, was terrible. Labor unions, bad news. What do we know about the Great Crash by Reynolds? The 1920s were great, not bad. Stocks crashed due to government intervention and the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act. Bill calling for increased tariffs on imports, monetary control, and the political business cycle. So you can see history repeating. We can see that there's tariffs. Trump wants to lower taxes, which is good. That's why he's going after government spending and he's trying to cut it, saying, well, this is all waste. Well, if I was him, I would just take, I would have gotten rid of all these agencies and just, whatever's left. You don't need a lot of government. What do you need? The laws. So you need that. You need military. You need gold. and you need free trade. Well, wait, you're not doing free trade. You're doing tariffs. Why are you doing tariffs? No, no, no. Free trade. That's how we became a great country. All right, let's see. Uh, da, da. Hyperinflation, 1919 to 1923 in Germany. The Reichsbank, the Reichsbank printed a lot of money off of gold, inflated for the war. Does that sound familiar? Does that sound like what's happening now? November 1923, circulation went up to 245 billion times printing money. Prices go up 1,380 billion times. That's inflation due to money printing. That's why they look at prices, because the money's worthless. So to get, if I need $50 for this and you print the money, I need more than the $50 to buy this because the value of the dollars dropped. So instead of needing $50, I need $500 to buy this because the value of the dollar has dropped from, where I need 50 to where I need 500. That's what's happening now. It's the value of the dollar dropping where I now need more dollars to buy the good because the dollar isn't worth anything. That's what's happening now. So Alligator keeps saying, well, it's not gold going up, it's the dollar going down. No, it is gold going up, and it is the dollar. They're two separate animals. Gold's not going up because the dollar's going down, because the dollar's not going down anymore. It's at zero. That's why I argue that the dollar is really at zero now. Down. It didn't lose 99%. It lost 100%. There's no value in the dollar, but people have to. If you go to Target or you go to Kroger's, they have to take it. They raise their prices on everything because the value of the dollar is gone. Trump, all he can do is go on gold, but he doesn't have any. So he better start buying gold because he's fucked. I mean, he has no option. And the way you pay off your $37 trillion debt is with gold or a real asset. You got Picassos in the White House, you better start selling. Let's see. I thought I had something. So again, how to become a financial power: low taxes, not high; free trade, most important, not tariffs; rule of law. I doubt we have law. Gold, we don't have, and whatever good communications are. Why do we not listen to this? Why do we start printing money? We get off of gold. Why do we raise taxes? It's mostly because they print the money and they don't understand printing the money is not good. Printing the money causes the inflation, not prices. See, prices are after the fact. You've already inflated the money, and now it takes more dollars to buy because the money's worthless. But not the prices didn't go up on their own. They went up because the value of the dollar dropped. So you need more. That's really what inflation is, inflating the supply. So therefore, it has nothing to do with prices, but prices follow. So they go up because they're going up because it's the value of the dollar is gone. So gold is not going up because the value of the dollar is gone. Gold's going up because the demand for the gold is going up. People need it. So everybody's entering the market. That's why gold's going up, not because the dollar. In other words, he's saying, well, the gold price hasn't really moved. It's just the dollar is worthless. No, you're getting a demand for gold and silver, I'm sure. You're getting a huge demand for it because as people realize that this is monopoly money, as I keep pointing out, as well as this. So as people realize they're fucked, then they run into gold and silver. That's showing the opposite, not Bitcoin. Bitcoin is not an option. To get out of this, you don't go into Bitcoin. To get out of this, you go into gold. Now, maybe people are being Ponzi schemed into believing by Madoff that you go into Bitcoin. And that would be done by Saylor and Fink, who are telling you, "Oh no, it's digital gold." How many times have I heard that? Well, it's digital gold. I go, no, it's not gold. Is the only thing that's gold is gold. All right. Anything I can say, oh, this is gold. No, it's not. If it isn't gold, it's not gold. You can't fake gold. So I mean, this is the financial power. I don't get why it gets lost in translation. Money. What is money? Money is a medium of exchange. It's what everybody wants. Why am I repeating this? Because I keep hearing, I saw a video the other day where the guy didn't know what money was. Keynesian, of course. He goes, nobody really knows what money is. The central bank doesn't know what money is. Oh, bullshit, they don't know what money is. Everybody knows this is money. It is money. It's heavily printed money, but it is money. Money is a medium of exchange, is what everybody wants. So instead of making this money, we made this money because this is more convenient. It's what everybody wants. And, how do you make change with this? How do you get more of it? So that's why this is money. And that's why you have a 1, a 5, a 10, a 20. That's why you have change, because depending on what the item is that you're buying, you don't need $1 if things cost a quarter. What would this do? You don't know the value of this. And that's why this is the most convenient. It's what everybody wants. Originally, cows were the medium of exchange. That would be hard to walk around with a cow to go to Kroger's. Yeah, I got a cow here. I want to buy some steaks and some tuna fish and veggies. I'm going to use my cow. It's for two values: exchange and use. And convenience develops by economics. So it's convenient. And now it's even more convenient because it's a debit or credit card. So before we had these debit and credit cards, you had the money in the banks. And before that, you had the money in gold. And it wasn't that you carried around the gold. It was you had gold-backed currency or silver certificates or gold certificates. So this was backed by gold or silver, instead of having to carry the gold or silver with it. It's amazing how stupid people are, thinking that there's not enough gold to go around. Well, chucklehead, that's the point. You don't carry the gold. You have dollars that are backed by gold, because the banks are supposed to have the gold to ensure that the money's there, which we don't have, which everybody knows we don't have. We sold it to China and Russia like a bunch of idiots, because the Keynesians in charge didn't think gold was worth anything. And I don't know where you'd get that from. Why would you ever think gold isn't worth anything? I go, what would lead you to believe that? It's absolutely just retarded. It's like having a Mantle card going, well, it's not really worth anything. It's just cardboard. Yeah, but it's cardboard of a guy named Mickey Mantle, and therefore always will have a price. Just amazing. So anyway, so it's convenient. So instead of carrying gold and there's not enough, they can make more dollars by so I can have $1 million worth of gold and then make $1 million in paper, and you're carrying the paper around. But if I give it to you, you can go to the bank and give me the gold. But then you just raise the value of the gold. Well, it's $20. Now let's make it $50. So now the $1 million you printed is now worth, $2.5 million. Qualities of the medium of exchange: it's got to be portable. Okay, it's got to be scarce. That keeps the high value. Oops, overabundance loses value. Where did we lose that one? Why are we printing 150 trillion of it thinking it's scarce? That's my argument with Bitcoin. You assume there's 21 million, but you can't prove it because you can't even see the fucking thing. If you can't see it and you can't touch it, how do you know you have anything? You don't. You have air. Well, there's only 21 million. 21 million of what? Of the earth? I mean, what kind of argument is that? So again, it's got to be scarce. Overabundance loses value. So why do they keep thinking they can print all they want? We're just going to print more money. We'll print, we'll print, we'll print. Yeah, but then the value goes to shit. Divisible for small exchanges. Yes. Fungible. Everything is the same. Yeah, this dollar, a 10, a 20, a 50, they all are dollars. Acceptance. This is Bitcoin's problem. Nobody accepts Bitcoin, but everybody, like I was at Toyota, he says, well, you'd have to sell your Bitcoin to get money to buy the car. You can't use Bitcoin to buy the car. And durable. Nothing's more durable than gold. You cannot destroy it. Value equals the most marketable commodity. So we're looking at value, and value is determined by price. Value depends on judgment. Money must be a marketable security. Gold is marketable. Is Bitcoin a marketable security? I don't think so. The market decides that money is marketable value. So why are people not understanding what money is? I don't understand why you can't understand what money is. It's very obvious. This is money. Well, what and the guy says, well, there's M2 and M3. It's money. It's how much money is printed. That's it. Very easy. Money's functions, medium of exchange. You work for money to buy food. That's about the cleanest explanation you could say for money. It has to be a medium of exchange. You're exchanging your service. If I'm in finance, I do a budget or I do financial work, they give me money for it. And when they give me money for it, I get the money and I pay my bills. And then whatever's left, I go buy gold and silver with. And pay my bills and then go on a vacation, play golf, whatever. Now, what I don't understand, why do I go to work? Because you are requiring my skill. You need a financial analyst. I apply for the job. Why do you treat me like shit when I get there when you needed me? Right? You said, hey, I'm looking for a financial analyst. There you go. Master's, 25 years experience. Then why do you treat me so poorly? Why do you think you're doing me the favor when I'm doing you the favor? I was going to say that when I was when Tenneco eliminated the position, it was like, you need me, or something. What was the thought I said? I have this thing where if I don't think of it, I come up with it. But when I start thinking of like a player's name or something, I can't figure it out. And then I start not thinking about it and I get it. But it's basically, it's your loss is what I like to say. So when you lay me off or something, it's your loss. And I said that to Alyssa, it's your loss. Like, I can't call you for a while. Oh, it's your loss, not mine. My life will be fine because I'm in my life. I have that control. Stoic. By you not talking to me only hurts you because it's my life isn't dependent on Alyssa. And, a little more on Daria. That's why I kind of get like, where the hell is she? But that's the point. It's your loss. And that's, if you ever have somebody say that, or they fire you or they lay you off, you just say that. On the way out, just say that very stoically. It's your loss. I got the skill set. I got the master's. So I don't need your job. I'll get another job. There's many people who could use me. Now I think I'm pricing myself out of the market as I get older. I'm not looking at entry level. So I'm not looking, at $5 an hour. I'm looking at $10 an hour, and they only want to pay $5. I think that's happening to me, plus my age. But that's, neither here nor there. But it is, it's their loss if they let me go because you're letting the skill go. So the other function, so the first function of money is a medium of exchange, so they can pay you for your skill, and then you go buy things. So you're exchanging skill for money, money for that, and that's why money is not. That's why it's not income. You're really not getting income. You're really doing you're doing a skill. If you go paint a fence, How do I, okay, it's a free trade. I'll paint your fence. I want something back. And so you'll take money for it. Well, that's not income. That's just the trade of you painting the fence. You could take watermelon or oranges or cantaloupes. That can be the trade. It doesn't need to be money. That's why it's not income. Store of purchasing power. You're going to store it, you're going to save it to spend later. That's what an IRA is, or your pension. It's, well, now I can retire with this money. Problem is you can't, because the money's not worth anything. That's what gold is. Store of purchasing power. As we're seeing it go up in value, 3,200 now, going to 4,500, as we heard from Mark McGuire yesterday. So that's what I tell Jenna and Daria is, I'm not spending it now because it's going to be worth more later than it is now, right? Over time. So that's why I tell you, don't sell your gold, don't sell your silver, unless you have to. You do have something with the value, but the value is going to go up. So therefore, it behooves you to keep it and let the price go up. So as the price goes to 4,500, you've just made another $1,200 from 3,200. And if you need it to go on a vacation, now do it at 4,500 instead of 3,200. We're still much better than we were at 1,700, or when I got this at I think it was $250. It was in the mid 90s. So it's gone up quite a bit. It's going to keep going up because they've printed. So we know the reason, because of this, because they're printing this to zero, then you have to go into gold. So that's going to make gold go up. And so if we understand that concept, we know gold's going to go up in value. So we don't want to sell it now. We don't want to sell it at 4,500. We just, the longer we hold it, the more valuable it is. So why would we get rid of it? So again, it's spent over time. It's worth more. It's a store of purchasing power. It's worth more. So basically, gold and silver are the best store of purchasing power. And if we look at everything in dollars, stocks, bonds, real estate trust, money in the bank, they're all not going to be worth more over time. They're going to be worth less over time. And if we understand they're worth less over time, why do we want to hold it? So the longer I hold these, the less value I have in them. That's why everybody's buying gold, because there's no value in this over time. Why do I want to hold it? If I hold it, it's just going to lose value. So this is why you sell these, to get into something where the value is going to go up, which is gold. So it's just a different way I look at it. But it all comes together when I say buy gold and hold it. This is a little more examples of it, but basically this is going down in value because you keep printing it. And if you print it, it's not scarce. And if it's not scarce, it's not limited. Therefore, we buy things that are very scarce. Gold, limited. You can't make it. You can't counterfeit it. Comes out of the ground. They make it into coins and bars, and that's it. And you can't fuck around with it. And, if it's gold, you can't counterfeit, because you can just go with the magnet and say, no, wait, this sticks. It's not real. Or you go to the coin store and say, hey, can you just check this out? And he says, nah, this isn't real gold. And then you know it. So that's really the point of it, is you want something that it's very limited and you can't produce it. That's why I show you that Eiserman 1 of 1 card, because you can't, that's it. There's only one. How much of a store of value is that, right? You can't print it. So you try to get things that are limited. And that's why even with my maze card or mantle card or ink card, if it grades, the higher the grade, the less there are, right? It's the purchasing power will go up because there's not a lot, which will bring demand in. People will want it because it's limited. Because it's a PSA 10, I get 110,000 for the Montana rookie card, because it was very hard to get a 10. So it's very limited, which draws people the buyers into it. And so you get out of your dollar and you buy the Montana because it can only go up because it's very limited. So that's the whole key to money. It's got to be a storage of purchasing power, so it's worth more over time. And this is not. So you're exchanging this, and that's why I call Rumpelstiltskin. So you're taking this and buying gold because this is going down in value, and gold and silver will go up. Now everybody goes, well, silver's not. Why isn't silver moving? And that's where the price fixing comes in. Silver should be $500 an ounce right now, at least. Why isn't it moving? The inflation's there, according to the alligator. Well, as this goes down, the gold goes up. But why doesn't silver go up? So that's what it destroys his argument. And it's really because of the price fixing by JP Morgan doing the paper derivatives to keep the price down. Well, wait, that's bullshit. So we know the price isn't real. And that's why I say you buy the silver and it'll over time, it'll be worth a lot more. So that's why I say just Rumpelstiltskin this for silver and get out of this because this has no value. And over time, it's going down, and the silver over time will go up as the gold's doing. So you can see it. It's perfect. This is what gold did when it was $1,000 an ounce, and now it's $3,200, and that's what silver's going to do. It's $32 an ounce, and just wait till it goes to $1,000. Because when we see the blueprint, we see what gold's doing. And July 1st, when they have to do Basel III, which means they have to deliver physically gold, they won't be able to do it. And COMEX will just, I don't know if it'll go out or they'll just do something. But the way it's set up, people take physical, and that's China and Russia, which you're not going to fuck them over. And they want physical, you better give it to them. And so, that's the end of COMEX. So July 1st, when it's Basel III and they have to deliver the gold and the silver, they're 30,000 tons short in silver. Good luck getting that. So this is the problem. When I hear China's broke, it doesn't matter. They have 60,000 tons of gold. So they don't care about their dollar. They care about the gold. So they keep getting it. And so they want a higher price on gold. And that's where we're going. As does Russia and all the BRICS countries. They might be holding the price down a little bit for the BRICS countries to get into it. In other words, if you join BRICS, you have to have gold-backed currency because you're going to trade in gold. We're not going to use Turkey dollars. You've got to have gold-backed Turkey dollars, and so that's the key. So they'll all need to buy gold. There's 40 countries joining. They all need to buy gold. And that at that point, so they're maybe keeping the price down so they can come in and buy it. There's all sorts of manipulation going, but we know the real price is so much higher. So you just are you're storing the power over time, so it's worth more. And the last is a unit of account. So the first one's a medium of exchange. The second one, you're storing the purchasing power. So you expect the value to go up, which isn't going to happen in dollars, but it will happen in gold and silver. And your third is a unit of account, measurement of account, common denominator. Did you make or lose money? So you're basically, I got 100 grand in my bank and now I got 120. I made money. But we know that's not true because the value of the dollar, who knows what that is. Let's see. Let's talk about the gold standard. It's such a nice thing to talk about. 3 classical currency systems, the gold standard from 1815 to 1914. No wars. Well, we had a civil war. No world wars. The beauty of gold, there's no war. There's no inflation. You don't even need interest rates. You know what you have is what you're going to have. All the countries went on the gold standard from 1815 to 1914, and it was the most prosperous time in the history of life on the gold standard for 100 years that it worked. But JP Morgan wanted monopolies, came up with the central bank, printed money, which was illegal because In the Constitution, no central banks and only gold and silver. How the fuck did you break the Constitution? And nobody say anything? That's the beginning of the corruption. They all measured their money in a fixed weight to gold. The fixed weight, the English was a quarter ounce of gold. The US was a 20th of an ounce of gold, and Latin franc was an 80th of an ounce of gold. 1 pound equaled $5. So 1 British pound equaled $5. So that's where they got the different denominations. Gold standard must have to be on the gold standard, a fixed weight, and be convertible. So in other words, you take the dollar and you can go to the store with it and you can convert it. Classical gold standard advantages. This is what I was looking for. No inflation or risk, no inflationary risk. You're not printing it. You can't print it. Low interest rates. So you can function as a business with very low interest rates. You want to buy a car, very low, if any. No speculation in currencies. The weight in gold is set. No foreign exchange risks. No tariffs. No taxes. Disciplined governments. That's the problem. They can't. The disadvantage, no monetary policies by the government. So it keeps the government out. Gold is freedom. And once you get off the gold standard, you're allowing the government to intervene, print like shit. And the problem is when they print it, they keep it. So they print $1 million, they put it in their pockets, and it made the value of the dollar go down. As all these countries get out of the, what was my thought? As these countries are off the gold, I can't think of my thought. But anyway, I'll come back. It'll pop back in. So each of the countries have the dollars. They print it. They go broke. With gold, they can't. And then it's just free trade, basically. And, I like what Spain has, and China has different things, and Russia has different, they all bring different things to the table that you want to buy. That's why it's free trade, because we don't have it. So Trump thinks, well, we're the biggest customer base. Yeah, but our money's worthless. Nobody wants our money. So the government is involved, and that's what you don't want. Floating exchange rate. All currencies are fiat, not tied to gold. Dollar bills, hope. So in a floating exchange rate, you're not using gold. And that's from 1971 to present. So when you get off of gold, you go to a floating rate. So sometimes the euro is worth 90 cents, sometimes it's 95, sometimes it's 85, or the Canadian dollar, and everything floats around. There's no rhyme or reason to it. What drives supply and demand? Interest rates go up, demand goes up, interest rates go down, demand go down. So the more money you can make on a higher interest rate, the more people will want it. So all of a sudden, if I buy this and it's 10% versus 5%, I want it at 10%, even though the 10% in inflated dollars is not worth anything. That's my point. So when I go to the bank, they say, you can get an annuity for 9%. I go, but I'm still in dollars. I haven't gotten out of the problem is I'm still in the dollar, even if it's at 5% or 10% or 20%, I'm still in dollars that aren't worth anything. I want to get out of the dollars that's not worth anything for gold, which I don't have to worry about. So the other thing with gold is there's no wars because you can't afford them. No interest rates, no risk. You got 100,000 in gold, you always got 100,000 in gold. You got 100,000 in this, now it's worth 1,000. And that's the problem, and that's what they don't tell you, and that's what you don't know, and that's what I try to tell you. You're fucked holding dollars, but you don't know it because they're not going to say it, because then they'll be proved that they're frauds for printing the money to zero, and they're fucked. So they'll never say it, or they'll blame Putin, or they'll blame the war, but they'll never take the blame for printing the money, which made it worthless. So all we can do is go, we know you printed the money making it worthless. We get out of the money and go into gold and silver because that can't lose value because you can't print it. And how the price is controlled will be blowing up July 1st. Now we understand the game. Our freedom's tied to gold and silver. We want freedom, we get gold and silver. It's as simple as that. Right now, all currencies are fiat, not tied to gold. That's what fiat means. It's government money, not tied to gold. We want everything tied to gold. Gold's what gives it value. This by itself is toilet paper. It's monopoly money. Oh, I'm backing it by gold. Now I have value in the money based on the gold, because the gold you can't print and the gold's very limited, and therefore the dollar will always have value, but it has to be backed by gold or silver. You cannot have a dollar not backed by anything. So if they come out with CBDCs, which I don't think so, they come out with these stable coins, if they're not backed by gold, they're still worthless. I think the US will do that. Probably Canada and Britain will probably come out with a new currency. It's the only way to get out of the inflation, right? Is a new currency. That's what the Germans did. It lasted a few years, and then by 1932, when Hitler took over, they were still broke. So Germany never recovered from the hyperinflation to pay for World War One, which is why they went to World War II, because you let a guy like Hitler say, fuck, these guys fucked us. We got to stand up, and everybody's poor. I'll give you jobs. Okay, well, here, wear this black uniform, and you come work for me, and I'll put you to work. Just crazy. That's why the government, I don't know, let's build a bridge, let's build a dam, let's build a highway. That's not business. What puts people to work? Yeah, but how are you going to get the money? There's no revenue involved. You want to have an economy based on revenue and expense, meaning I'm going to sell pens and you're going to buy them. That's what you want in an economy. Or my Canadian Club, or my Mantle card, or my shirts, or my glasses. I sell it, you buy it. I produce revenue. What does the government not do? It doesn't produce revenue. Government doesn't produce revenue. So that's the problem. So they spend. How do they get the money? They just print it. Oh, well, that hurts the value. Yes, but they're not getting revenue. They don't charge anything. Well, I guess they do a tax. They do a gas tax. So in effect, you're paying for the highway repairs with the gas. But are you paying for the highway? It costs $10 million. Where are they getting the money from? And it doesn't produce revenue. So you're not selling a product to cover the cost. You just cost. So all you're doing is having costs with no, you're not making a glass where you're going to sell the glass and the glass should be more than a cost, but you're not doing that. And that's a big problem. All right. So what drives supply and demand? Interest rates going up, and demand goes up. Interest rates go down, demand goes down. Expected inflation. Well, if they're not backed by anything, if the dollar from 1971 is not backed by anything, the inflation starts in 1971, not last year. It's not year over year. Go back to 71 to now. That's what inflation is. Because this is bullshit. Well, last year, so it's running at 2%. It's like, what are you talking? You're on drugs. Inflation's not 2%. They're printing a lot of money. You got to pay the debt in the military, and they got to pay Social Security and Medicare, which I don't know why they're paying. Why isn't there an account with it? Oh, you've already stolen our Social Security. So when you get your paycheck and 7.65 goes to Social Security and the employer matches it, that's not going to your Social Security. There's no account, professor. There's no account, profit margin. It simply goes to they use it for the debt. They use it for government spending. And therefore, when they got to pay Social Security, they then they print money. It's insanity. This is a test question. All economic decisions are based on the future. That's a fact. That's your gold standard. Again, money is a medium of exchange. Money, commodity money, cows and grains. Yep. Species, gold or silver. That's what you want to use. Gold coins, deposit with the goldsmith. We don't have goldsmiths now. They'd all be crooked anyway. JP Morgan would be the goldsmith. Money substitute, your checkbook, 2 names on the check, your name in the bank. Money certificate, 100% backed by gold or silver. Those are silver certificates. That's when people say silver's not money, they're out of their fucking minds. Silver is money. Fiduciary money, acceptance of truth, word of honor based on a witness, checks produced by banks. So do we believe the bank? Do we believe JP Morgan? 2 ways to know something: observation or faith. So you're either watching it or you have a leap of faith. So you believe that the money's good, the leap of faith. I always go to that Indiana Jones movie when he's got to jump the thing with the knight, with the Sean Connery, and take a leap of faith. That's what I always thought. Fiat money is produced by banks, and it's just let it be, let there be light. Fiat money is produced by the government. The fiduciary is produced by the banks. Yeah. And then the fiat is produced by the government. They're both inflationary. They're both printing the money. The dangerous one is the bank money is far more dangerous because they're just printing it out of nowhere. The fiat, at least they're printing it, but they're both very dangerous and big trouble. All right. Let's see. I'm just getting so frustrated with these idiots on TV, on YouTube, that really don't know what they're talking about. So Keynes was brought in 1932 as the Treasury Secretary for FDR. And of course, what did he do? Raise taxes, government spending, get rid of the gold, and basically cause massive unemployment and a massive depression that lasted 10 years. Keynes was a bad guy. He was British, but people listened to him. I don't know why. So here's J.P. Morgan. He gets Woodrow Wilson elected in 1913. What does he do? He puts in income tax and the Federal Reserve. Senators were elected by popular vote. Morgan controls the Fed, and he still does. So when I say J.P. Morgan runs the Fed, he's been doing it since 1914. From 1879 to 1914, the gold standard, there was no government intervention, laissez-faire economics, free markets. That's what we must have. That's how it works. In other words, we don't need the government telling us what to do. We'll figure it out. If we want to be successful, we'll figure it out. Is that D? Probably. Yep. Anyway, this is the thing. This is why you want the gold standard because it's limited. And it blows my mind people don't understand it. Like they know gold's been around for 5,000 years and silver, but they don't understand like it's the only money to survive. Well, it hasn't survived. It's very limited. There's demand for gold. There's demand for silver. It's very limited. So the price can't go anywhere. The only thing that fucked up was the Romans when they took it out of the coins. So yeah, yeah, well, 1 ounce gold coin, and now it's half of an ounce is copper, and then 3/4 is copper, and then the whole thing turns copper, and you've taken all your gold out of your coin and all your silver out of the coin, and so you've fucked yourself. Why would you do that? I don't know. This is how bad the Romans got, but they had the key. This is all coming back from the Romans. They invented the money and the gold standard and everything. Anyway, sorry about that. So I mean, that's why gold's been gold. It's because it's very popular, very much in demand. It works, and like I said, everything comes from Rome that we use with money. Um, Problem with Rome is they were a republic, so probably the best government you have is the president and the Senate and Congress, and they all balance each other. Because what Julius Caesar did is he became like the king, where all of a sudden the Senate wasn't used. He made all the decisions. Wasn't bad because he seems to be a smart guy. From what I watched, like on a documentary, he was a smart guy. But what I don't get is, if you get a crooked guy like Nero or some of these other ones, um, then you got trouble when there's one guy making a decision who doesn't know what he's talking about. Sort of like Trump, sort of like Biden. Um, so I don't really know what you do with, I don't really know the best method. Yeah, if you have a qualified, it's like a football. You have a good coach. You got Vince Lombardi, you're probably going to win. You got Joe Lombardi, you're probably not going to win. And that's why the teams rotate. They get a good coach and they win. And then he retires, look at Bill Walsh, look at Lombardi, look at Chuck Noll. As soon as they go, the team goes downhill. And that's why some of these teams just never win. They never have a good coach. You need a good leader who knows what they're doing. How do you do that in government is beyond me, because government, um, how do you qualify to be president? I mean, somebody that ran a company or, so it's very difficult. I don't think that the government now is so corrupt that it just doesn't work. Um, I don't know. And you got to have term limits. You can't have Biden in office for 50 years or Pelosi. She's going to be 100. Yeah, she's qualified to run the government. Uh, these people should be in for one term. That's what it was set up to be. You'd have, all the governors, senators were in for one term. That way they can't be corrupted. And then you had George Washington. I don't know if it was 1 or 2 terms back then, but he would take it, and then the next guy, and then the next guy. So he, like now, they want to get reelected, so they run to be reelected. Well, Trump's already been once, so he can't be reelected. This is his second term, so now he's just trying to fix things, which is better. But all the other politicians need to get the fuck out. They need 1 term and gone. Otherwise, that becomes they're on the payroll, they're in the lobbyist. If it's 1 term, you tell the lobbyist to fuck off. I'm not taking your money. That's not what I'm here. I'm here to help the country. That's why I became a politician. But once you introduce the lobbyist, then you want to get reelected to get more money. And they want you to be reelected because you're going to do what they say. Well, who's running the government? You or the lobbyist. Trump's talking about running for a 3rd term. Well, FDR ran for 4 terms. I don't know legally if Trump can run for a 3rd term. Maybe, I don't know. The problem's still government's too corrupt. I mean, that's what you got to fix. So I don't know how you do that. But that's why you have gold gives you freedom. It gets the government out, which is what we want. We want a laissez-faire system where it's me and you. That's it. It's not, oh, wait, I got to go to the government to do things. And, oh, we don't have free trade. We have tariffs. What are tariffs? Tariffs are taxes that raise the price of everything, raise the cost of everything. It basically kills the economy because now it costs more to make a car or to make a pen or to make a phone. The company, and then can they recover the cost, or is it going to kill the market? And so normally what happens is it kills the market. So this is not an iPhone. This is a this is an Android, okay? And so I don't know who makes it. I don't care. Let's say it's Apple that makes it. It's not, but let's say they are because I can't think right now. And let's say they make it. Now they are in the business because they could make it for X and sell it for Y, which gives them a 20% return on investment. Otherwise, you're not in business. If you can't make money, you're not in business. That's why you go into business. So all of a sudden, you just killed my costs. Now my costs have gone up. Can I make money? That means I have to raise my price. Well, I can't raise my price because the market says, this is what I'm going to pay you for it. So your costs are here, you're fine. Then you make this much money, right? This is profit in between. Now what you've done is with the tariffs, you've raised this maybe up to here. But my market isn't going anywhere. My market's still going to give me, let's say this is a $200 phone. I'm still only going to give you $200. I'm not going to pay you $300 because of tariffs. Fuck off. So then you've got to come up with a strategy to sell it at market. So if my market's here and you went here and then you went up to here, well, you got to find a way to come back down. And usually it's laying off people, changing material. And if you can't do that, you're out of business because you cannot make profit, which is what business is about, which is what the whole economic system is about, is going into business to make profit. You find things that people want and you can sell them for more than your cost, you do it. But why is government raising costs? Why are they doing tariffs? All it does is raise costs. It's ridiculous. Well, we'll get money in. No, you're not, because nobody's going to buy the product and they're not going to make it anymore. Or as Apple did, Apple chose to go to Vietnam and India instead of China. So they moved out of China, went to Vietnam, doing a little in India, and they avoid the tariffs. Well, everybody's going to do that. That's why you got to tariff the product, not the country. That's how Apple said, we'll our costs were here, and wait, you're tariffing China, our costs are here. We'll go to Vietnam. Now our costs are back down to here. Or Intel or any of the Microsoft, whatever, who was with China. So you're taking all the business from China down to Vietnam or India to keep so you can be profitable. The market will give you what the market has been giving you. Now, as you're inflating and causing depressions and causing people to lose their jobs with these tariffs, then there's less of these people, right? So you're in business, you're going to sell here, and there's the market, right? You can keep your cost under the profit. However, now there's less people here because they're losing their jobs. The market kind of deteriorates into nothing or into just a few, so you're not really making money. That's the problem with tariffs, as we've seen, as I just taught you from the Depression. And that's really the big thing. And that's why you don't have tariffs, and that's why you don't have government involvement. Get the fuck out of the way. Let us do it. You're going to make ribs. You're going to sell them for this. Is there a market? Yes. Okay, fine. Then I'm going to make my ribs and sell it. Don't raise my rent and don't raise my electricity and heat. And I got ovens. Don't raise that. Don't raise my meat prices. I can't, if you make the ribs go up, because at the end of the day, the business is, what is my market? And when you find it, that's it. It doesn't move very gingerly. Does it move from, as I said, the Toyota, I bought it at 24,000. He tries selling it at 35. He says, I can't sell any. I says, your price is too high. Your market is at 24, 25. So I think he went down to about 26, and the market did come up $1,000 to meet it. But the market's based on the necessity of it. Do I need Canadian Club? Do I need this? If I need this, then I'll pay whatever. If I don't need it, I won't. Or I might substitute it. Canadian Club got too expensive. I'll buy Crown Royal, or I'll buy Dewar's, or I'll buy Black, Carling's, or what is Black Label. So it's whatever, Johnny Walker, whatever it is can I substitute? And I think that's where that elastic and inelastic comes in. The elastic, you'll go and you'll substitute. Inelastic's like, I believe I'm doing this right, and I don't really give a fuck. It's basically like gasoline. Well, I can't substitute. I got to put gas in my car. There's no substitute. Just like I got to eat. Now I can differentiate what I want to eat, so I can steak, chicken, fish, tuna, whatever, or veggies. I can do that, but I still have to eat at the end of the day. But there's choices. Gas, there's no choice. You got to put gas in your car. That's it. And if gas goes to $20 a gallon, you're fucked, because you still got to put it in. So at the end of the day, but most of the market is substitutable, where I can, the New York strips are too expensive. I'll get a Domenico, or I'll just get hamburger, or I'll buy chicken or a salmon or something that's cheaper. So you're locked into how much money you have is what you can buy. Money is freedom, as I state. The more money you have, the freer you can go on trips, you can eat, you can put gas in your car, you can go to the gym. That's the key to money. It's freedom. And that's why we switch our money to gold, because it'll go up in value, which will give us freedom. As the dollar goes to zero, there goes your freedom. Well, I got 500,000 in my 401k. It's not worth anything. If the dollar is worthless, what is your 401k worth? Well, it's worth $500,000, but the dollar is worthless. It's worth zero. Well, that won't happen. Bullshit, it won't happen. I just read you the Depression. Everybody was unemployed and kitchen soup lines and stuff like that. So don't tell me it can't happen. I just showed you. That's why I did this, because we're right in the middle of another one. We have another Keynesian in this, what's his name? That Scott guy, the Soros guy. We have Trump that it's over his head. He only sees one part of it. He sees the tariffs as bringing in money. His focus is paying off the $37 trillion debt. Well, you got one option, and that's buy as much gold as you can and let the gold price run. That's the only way out of your $37 trillion debt is gold. But how much gold do we own? Nothing. Are you trying to buy gold? No. The gold that came over was to pay off the derivatives. because you got J.P. Morgan doing derivatives, and they got to get gold to pay off the people who take delivery. That's all that was. So you can't pay off the debt, so you're fucked. So your dollar, that's 500,000, is worthless. Your house goes, because it's price, anything priced in dollars goes to zero until we get a gold backed currency. Then your house gets priced in gold, and it will change dramatically from 500,000 to about 20,000. That's what it'll do, and the price of gold will go up dramatically. So if you're playing the game properly, you get out of your 401k and you get out of your dollars, and you go into gold and silver. That's where your Rumpelstiltskinning at. That's what you have to do. It's your only option. There's no other option you can do. There's nothing else limited like that. Well, Mano cards or Picassos or Rolexes, but I mean, even then, there's still, gold is money, and so is silver. So again, you've got to realize JP Morgan's been keeping the price of silver down because they have all these derivatives that they got to pay off once it hits 35. And that's why you see this flood hit when it goes to 34 to keep the price under 35, because once they have to pay it, they're all broke. And so that's what they're fighting. But eventually it's a losing effort. And here comes July 1st and they're done. And that's why that Jamie Dimon guy retired, because he's about to get, JP Morgan's about to get the shit beat out of him. So I don't know what's going to happen with the credit card. You got a credit card from Chase, you owe 10 grand on it. Money's gone. I don't owe you anything. Now, will they come out with new dollar, ABC, USD number 2, and that 10 grand switches to 2 grand? I assume something like that will possibly happen. But then the gold price goes even higher. Now it's 20 grand. So I can pay off my credit card with one gold coin. Just cash it in and go, here's your, okay, credit card paid. So the game you want to avoid is the dollar. You want to avoid things that are heavily produced, that aren't backed by anything. And that's why I show you these, right? This is worthless. This isn't backed by gold. Neither is this. Neither is the British pound, Canadian dollar, the yuan, the yen, the ruble. Turkey, pick a country. They're not backed, therefore they're worthless. So gold is your freedom. Gold will save your life. That's it. And silver, not the dollars. Even if you have 1 million of them, 1 million times zero is still zero. But people don't understand that. They go, I got 401k. I'll have to pay tax if I. Well, it's better to pay tax than to see it go to zero. Well, that can't happen. Well, they keep printing it. Of course it's going to happen. Here comes BRICS. 40 countries just joined. They all have a gold-backed currency. So what the fuck are you talking about? They're not using the U.S. dollar to make transactions. So before, China had to buy U.S. dollars to go buy Brazil reals. Now they're just doing it. China to Brazil, Russia to Iran, Russia to Saudi Arabia, China to half these, a lot of Asian countries. They're avoiding the dollar. So now the dollar is worth nothing because nobody wants it. The only people that will want it is people in the U.S., but we're going to want to buy gold, and the value of the dollar goes away when nobody wants it. And that's what's happening. Profit. There are dozens of references to gold in the Bible. Genesis 2.12, and the gold of that land is good. I don't know what that word, Bedlam, is that what you're, Bedouinium? And the ox stones are there. Well, I know, like, Moses came down and they were all worshiping gold. I'd have probably been on that team. Hey, yeah, let's get that golden calf going. We can always worship gold. But, gold's been around for a while. We know that. But when you look at it, it's everybody loves it, and it's very limited, and therefore it keeps its value because you have demand. Like I say, if I try to sell this on eBay, I can only sell it if somebody wants to buy it. That's how a free market works. Not like this corrupt gold and comex and everything. But if nobody wants to buy this, there's no demand. It's not worth anything. Hey, do you want my bottle of Canadian Club? No, no, no. And if I ask 100 people and they say no, guess what? It's worth nothing. There is no value to it. And that's what you must understand. There's no value to, there must be demand for the product to have a market. Is there demand for gold and silver? Absolutely. Is there a demand for the dollar and the euro? It's becoming maybe, and then it's becoming, let's switch into gold because nobody wants the euro or the dollar because it's not, there's no gold because the other team over here, BRICS, has gold. That's what I want because it holds its value. I don't want the dollar. And all the BRICS companies with the gold don't want the dollar. And that's really, I think, the best way to explain it. All the BRICS countries are dealing in gold. They're not going to want the dollar. But as the dollar collapses in all these other currencies, then the dollar will have no value anyway, but the gold will. So the gold will maintain and go up in value. And nobody will want the dollar because it'll be worthless. So that wipes the dollar out. So unless we join BRICS, we're fucked, basically. Trump, oh, the US dollar will always be a bullshit, Trump. See, this is where he gets in trouble because he's lying or he's just stupid. Either way, there's nothing he can't do. He can't force people to take the dollar. And believe me, when you have the choice, you're buying gold. So anyway, that's what's going on. Lesson learned. But I keep hearing these idiots who just don't understand what's going on. Keynes was brought in by FDR. The stupidest move. Keynes, he's a protectionist. Does that sound familiar? That's what Trump is. Worried about unemployment, wages are rigid downward, monopolies, tariffs, and unions. Sounds like Trump. So we can see Trump's using the Keynes playbook, and we know what happens. We're all fucked. Anyway, so I was going through my notes. And again, stagflation is high inflation and high unemployment. Debasement is taking the gold and silver out of the coins, not inflation. These people are such chuckleheads. All right, so that's your money class today. Again, baseball. I'll just give you the picks that I put 2 units on. Boston over 8.5, Oakland over 9, Houston, Washington over 8.5, and the Dodgers over 9.5. 5 picks. I went 3-1 yesterday, which is a good day. Again, they're based on the pitchers' ERAs. So if I got a guy like Verlander when he had a low ERA going against a guy Joe Bob who's got a 5 ERA, you would think Verlander would win the game, but he's not going to win it 100% of the time, but he will win it. In football and in basketball, you do look for defense. Defenses can beat a Mahomes, as Philadelphia showed you. And, the Lions choked, and Washington then got beat by Philly because of their defense. But you don't really have it. The best part of the defense in baseball is the pitcher. That's it. He's the defense, not the guys in the field. So you got to be careful with that. But then it's inconsistent. It's an average. Certain hitters are going to hit them. Certain hitters aren't. And you don't know, okay, Verlander's playing Philadelphia. You don't know what's going to happen. Verlander plays St. Louis. He might dominate St. Louis, but not do well against Philadelphia. And that's what the matchup's all about. But it really just works best in football. And we will see. Profit. What about today's NBA games? I already gave that. We are taking Cleveland in game one, laying 8.5, and then I'm taking Golden State plus the 2.5 to win the series. I go to Steph Curry as he's good in the pressure. I don't even know who Houston has anymore. There's Elijah one. He's still playing. Clyde Drexler. I mean, I don't know who's on Houston's team, but I know Steph Curry has the wherewithal of playing well. So I'm going to go with Steph Curry. So I get 2.5. It's a game 7. Normally I take the home. I took the home team yesterday at 1. I had Denver. That was a big lock, and it won. Cleveland's small. I just think in game 1 they'll show, and then we'll see. And the best we can do in this series is let Cleveland go up 2-0. Indiana at home, game 3, do or die, and then we bet Indiana, hopefully as a dog. And then we'll see where Golden State Houston goes after that. So it looks like OKC, Cleveland, and Boston. OKC gets Denver. Well, I guess we're still at the Final Four. So we'll see. But what I liked about Minnesota is their defense. We had them. And then I don't know who has the best defense in Golden State, Houston. It's really hard in the NBA. They're all like 112, 113, 114, 150. It's all mishmash together. The NFL, you'd have 17, 18s, and then you'd have like the Lions at 30. So it's very easy to see who was a good defense and who was a bad defense. And you want to bet against, normally like the Lions, you want to go over in the games because they can score and they can't stop anybody. And I love how they're trying to play it. The Lions didn't get any defensive help in the draft. The Ohio State guy's terrible. I don't know about the Boise guy. That was a late round pick. He probably won't even make the team. Well, thank you, Prophet. Yeah, it's easy. And I don't know 5 players. I know Steph Curry. I can't name one guy on Cleveland or Indiana. Reggie Miller, and Cleveland's got who? Mike Price. But it doesn't matter. It's just you're focusing on the team, and you can see you're basically playing it based on what's happening. So the series is tied at 3-3, Golden State, Houston, and now it's, to me, is Houston like really strong to win it? I don't look at the 2 and 7 seed; they're even. They're 52 and 30, 48-34. This is not like a 2 seed and a 7 seed, like in college basketball where there's a big difference. This is an even series. Houston had to win game 6 at Golden State, and they did, and Golden State didn't try. Golden State let them win, knowing there's a game 7. So they're very confident. Steph Curry, so we feel like I want the dog in the game. I get 2.5. But that's all it is. I mean, Steph Curry is probably one of the few players that I kind of know. It's impossible to watch. It's so boring. Just a bunch of 3-point shots. And the theory is because 3 points are worth more than 2, just take a bunch of 3-point shots, even though the percentage of making them are like 10% versus a dunk, which is 98%. We don't enter that in the conversation. It's just it's worth 3, so let's just take a bunch of 3s. It's impossible. I watched the game the other night, and I watched 5 minutes of it, and I can't. Luca Brasi kept shooting 3-point shots. He kept dribbling and then shooting, dribbling, and it didn't, no passing, no nothing. It's like, yeah, I can't watch this guy. He's a loser. So those are my picks today, but the pick yesterday was much stronger, and we'll see. The other series, I think, start tomorrow. Well, one's had to wait for yesterday's game, 7, and today, Golden State, Houston, so you can't start the next series. But yeah, I've been doing this a long time, so I know what to look for. See, when I do things, I know first I go, do they work or not? And once I figure out what works, defense and football, and teams that have their back against the wall. Once I realized that, then I got it. That's why I'm so good at football. The only thing in football, I've got the theory, it's just who's who, right? Who's Philadelphia this year? Who's Kansas City? Maybe it's Philly and KC. Maybe it's San Diego and Denver. And that's what you see. So as it's going, I think Atlanta will be in the championship game with Philadelphia or Washington. Dallas still has Dak Prescott. They got no chance. Most of the draft's problem is it's not even the players, it's the coaches. You haven't gotten a new coach. You have no chance. You look at Atlanta still struggling with their coach. Denver brought in Sean Payton. Oakland brought in Coach Pete. Now they have a chance when they draft because they'll develop the players. But some of these coaches are just like Carolina. They have no chance. It didn't matter if they could have drafted Jim Brown and Joe Montana. They still have no chance because they don't have a coach. I'm not sold on Washington's coach. Pitt, I don't know. He's been good. Now he's sucked the last few years. Baltimore, I hate their coach. You go down the list. Okay, I don't like Andy Reid. He's a choke, but Mahomes is what win. It's like Belichick was a choke, but Brady won all the games, not Belichick. And I keep hearing Belichick's the greatest coach of all time. I go, did you hear of Vince Lombardi? He was 5-1 in championship games. Did you hear of Bill Walsh? Did you hear of Bill Parcells? Or Jimmy Johnson? You sure Bill Belichick was the greatest of all time? He did lose 3 Super Bowls or something and hasn't been in since Brady. I don't buy any of that shit. Anyway, so I think I'm going to have a little bit of chicken for dinner. I had General Chow to eat, and then I got to go to the pool. The pool closes 4:30 today, so I usually try to leave the house by 3. And I just go to the pool first, and then I can go on the bike because the place is open till 6, I think. So I can bike later, but the pool closes at 4:30, so we will go from there. Belichick has a losing record coaching games where Brady was not the starter. Yeah, even in Cleveland, he wasn't anything. Well, like I say, it wasn't him. It was Brady. Brady won the games. I don't know where Brady came from because I watched him at Michigan, and when he was out there, you'd go, "Oh, really? We're going to lose today." You never looked at him as Tom Brady. That's like Larry Bird went to Indiana his first year and then ended up at Indiana State, and they said he didn't look like Larry Bird when he was there. So something happened to him at Indiana State. All right, well, that's it, my family. I think that's it. Anything else? Long class today, but anyway, enjoy. Belichick was stealing the others. Well, I'm sure he cheated, and his coaches all sucked when they left. So I don't know what he was. He didn't teach his coaches anything. But anyway, so have a good day, everybody. Happy Sunday. www.teaserking.com. And good luck if you're betting anything. Otherwise, get your gold and silver. As I just went through explaining, the dollar's gone July 1st. You better buy your gold and silver. Remember Spygate. Yes, I do. All right. Have a good day, everybody.